Hey, deserving listeners, Single Life 90-Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Since this is a psychology YouTube channel, you should keep in mind that I might get into some triggering materials. If it is particularly graphic, I'll try to warn people beforehand, obviously, but sometimes you don't know what's going to happen on these shows, and there can be some rough stuff that can be triggering for sure. Talk with your therapist before watching things that might be triggering, and let's watch.
You didn't bring me coffee?
Yeah, I brought you coffee.
Well, oh, thank you.
Yeah. You look nice. You look energized.
Yeah.
You ready for today?
What are we doing today?
Candace has a boat, and she's offered to take us out on the lake, kind of hang out, have some fun. They're very close to me, you know, and we're all very close. So, you know, I'm sure you'll do fine. I'm sure you guys are gonna get along. Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. Under other circumstances, that might be a good piece of advice, but I mean, you know, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that Natalie consistently in a scenario like this will become pouty and or hostile. So being yourself is, in terms of what I've seen on this show, it means that. So I don't know. I don't know if Josh should say don't be yourself, but I think, well, what Josh could say if I were a birdie on his shoulder is one, don't be stuck on a boat, because if she has a meltdown, then she can't get away. So I would have it be shorter than that. And I would also have it be smaller, just maybe the ex-wife and Natalie instead of a bunch of people around. I might also tell him to tell her that he really likes Natalie and does not want to be with his ex-wife. It's not about that. It's just, you know, it's just family and yeah. So be yourself isn't, but you know, I know what he's saying.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay. So, what are your feelings about meeting Candace today?
I don't know if it's normal to be friends with your exes.
I hear that all the time on this show. Julia and Brandon, similar kind of thing. Okay, if it's not normal, are you saying it's a bad thing? What's wrong with it? It's a good sign, Natalie. The fact that he's friends with her. One, you don't even know if they're really friends because they have a child together. They might sort of force themselves to be friends, right? If they didn't have a kid together, would they still talk? Maybe, maybe not, but they have a kid together, and it's a really good idea to really try to cultivate a friendship with the other parent of your kids. So there she says, it's not normal. Ugh.
Yeah, my situation is definitely not the normal situation, but I like everybody getting along. That's my thing. I want everybody to get along.
So we haven't seen much of an indication as to who Josh is, what his schemas are, what his personality is. And I don't know if we just saw an indication, but when we hear something like that, it's a yellow flag for traumas regarding conflict in his family, alcoholism, drug abuse, divorce, violence, you know, conflict in the family, or just volatile yelling at each other. And he might have adopted a role, maybe temporarily or permanently in his family as a person that, and he was rewarded for keeping the peace, which would make him potentially a good fit for Natalie in both healthy and unhealthy ways. I don't know if that's what we're hearing. I don't know if I'm just reading into it. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with him, because the way that Natalie treats him and the way that he responds, he's either just super mellow and super mature and differentiated and doesn't take it personally, which is possible, or he puts himself in the back burner. I don't know. Let's see if we can see any signs.
A lot of people can't handle my life. I've tried to prepare Natalie that Candace and I are very close. I love her, and I've known Candace since she was 18 years old. We have a long past, and it's not going to go away. My family definitely has a big influence on me. Their opinions are very valid to me. We're getting close. Are you nervous?
Yes.
I mean, the last time this happened was when he introduced her to her friends, to his friends, and at least at first, that did not go well. This is more intense than that, so I'm guessing this isn't going to go well either. I mean, honestly, I hope it does go well for Natalie's sake, for everyone's sake.
She might think, oh, she's not a good match for him or something like that. So I don't know. Doing fishing?
Well, we're gonna do some fishing today, right?
Yeah. Nice boat. Oh my God. Candace is a very beautiful woman. But I'm a beautiful woman too.
It's his ex-wife. You're not in competition with her. Even if she were more beautiful than you, which what does that really mean in this sort of situation? But it's his ex. They got divorced. She's not a threat.
Quickly meet girls that he dates,
I've only met 2.
but he broke up with them.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't get in his business like that.
Yeah. Like, do you see that I'm totally different type of person? Like, what kind of girls he dates?
You are.
Like, he's attractive guy, you know, but I'm not his style, and it's like kind of, I'm different.
You are different from the girls that he dates. He usually dates girls that are younger, just a different look.
Okay, so Natalie is talking to Josh's ex, and Candace keeps saying that other people have found that their relationship is weird, the women that Josh will date. And I'm thinking, is it? I'll take their word for it, but in my circle, I would say that this is extremely common to be friends with, especially if you have a kid together, and you should hang out together, and it makes it so much easier, right? When your kid has an event at school, you hang out together. When your kid has a soccer game or performance or something, you hang out together. You're friends. You were friends at one time. You went through a bad period where you broke up, in all likelihood, meaning that people don't usually break up because of no reason. So, you had a bad time, but, you return to goodwill towards each other. And so anyway, so Candace is saying that a lot of people comment on how strange it is. And then, I don't know if I showed this, but Josh has introduced 2 other women that he was dating to Candace. And then Natalie's saying, I'm not his type, she keeps saying. He dates a typical type, and I'm not his type. And then Candace says, yeah, you're not his type. Typically, he dates younger, I think implying more beautiful women or something. So I think this is going to trigger Natalie. Hopefully it doesn't.
That's all.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, so if I was to take a guess, I would say that she's falling into a pit of despair, if you will, from Princess Bride. She is falling into a pit of feeling very insecure about herself, like she doesn't fit in, like she's being made a fool of, that he doesn't really love her. And so I don't know about her relational traumas, but people with the sort of relational traumas that I think she endured, they do not have what we call a sense of self, but what I call a connection with the self. And there's a lot of things involved in that I've talked about before, but one of the critical components of having a connection with the self is when you're in a situation like this where you're insecure or there's a challenge to your security or self-esteem, you have either a set thing that you can say to yourself or just a sense of who you are. So right now, she's in a situation she doesn't know any of these people really. She barely knows Josh. She doesn't know Candace. She doesn't know the child. And so Natalie's hearing that Josh typically likes other kinds of women, and it'd be natural for Natalie, at least to some extent think that she isn't as beautiful or isn't as much of a catch or something. I don't think that Josh would see it that way at all, but it would be normal to have that little twinge of insecurity. But for people who have a connection with the self, people who were raised in a adequate, attuned manner from their caregivers, in this moment, they have a self that they can go to. They go inward and can say, okay, well, I'm my own person. And sure, he dates, even if you concluded, he typically dates women that are more conventionally attractive than I am. But I know I'm a good person, and I'm sure those other people are good people, but I know I have much more to give other than my looks, and I'm guessing that's what Josh is attracted to. I don't know. And honestly, if Josh doesn't like me and he would rather be with a different woman, I'm still okay with myself because I have enough self-esteem. I have enough self-worth. For people with severe relational traumas growing up, they not only have very low self-esteem, but many of them, they don't even know who they are. You don't have anything to have self-esteem about. Some people will call this no esteem, right? Like there's low self-esteem and then there's you're just empty. You don't have anything to fall back on. You don't even know who you are. Even if you had self-esteem, you don't know what to base it on because you don't even know what the self is. You don't know who you are. You're always just reacting. And whenever you look inward, you just don't really sense anything there. There's something there. But I think we might see her beginning to crumble. Also, the trigger of I'm being played, I'm being abandoned, he's never going to love me, I'm now hurt and terrified, I'm stuck on a boat, I'm going to melt down. I hope not.
She's very talkative lady. There are direct speech, indirect speech, there are referring things, and it hurts.
Yeah, now it's possible. I did wonder that as Candace was talking. I didn't know if she was just being plain in her speech or if she was actually being indirect and passive aggressive by saying, yeah, normally Josh dates much more attractive women than you. I mean, it didn't sound that way to me entirely, but it wouldn't be irrational to interpret it that way.
You guys want to head back?
Yeah, it's fine. Hold on to your butts.
I feel like it's time for me to tell Josh what I want. I want family and child. And I will be with a man who gives me that.
There's a certain repetitiveness thing that will happen on the show sometimes. I think Angela as well. I think Evelyn and Corey were kind of like this a little bit, where it'll get to this place and I'm just like, oh, here we go. Natalie's worked up about, I will not stand for this, Josh. I will have a baby with you and we will get married, or else, it's this mode that she goes into. She did it with Mike. She's done it with Josh already, even though they've only known each other in person for, I think, 4 or 5 days. So she's triggered. And then when she gets triggered, she goes on the attack because she wants revenge. She wants to punish, and so is this the direction that she's going in? She's gonna blast him, even though anyone else. Well, it's not Natalie's fault, but if Natalie didn't have these traumas, anyone else would see this as like, wow, he is really into me. We're rushing through the relationship here.
Today is my last day with Josh in Arizona. It might be last day ever. He told me, come to Arizona, I show you a good time. Did he show me? No. What did we? We met his ex-wife on a boat, that's it. I'm gonna talk with Josh about our relationship, what I want to get out of it.
Right. So, facts on the ground is that Josh is giving every indication that he is into Natalie. I don't know if he actually is, but if someone told you, a friend of yours told you, hey, I'm flying out to meet this guy that I'm dating, and he's introducing me to his family, his parents, his kid, his ex-wife, because they co-parent their kid together. He's showing me around his hometown where he lives. If you heard that from a friend, you would say, wow, it is getting serious. But Natalie, because of her issues, she doesn't see it that way. She distorts it because I think what happened, at least from what the edit was, she met the ex-wife, and the ex-wife, Candace, it's hard to know what was going on with Candace, if she was being passive-aggressive or if she was just being factual. But she said, and to be fair, Natalie was the one that started the conversation. She said that, Natalie says, I am not Josh's type. I am not normally who he goes for. And Candace says, yeah, that's true. He usually goes for younger women or something like that. And I think that triggered Natalie. And when that happens, she is having a triggering of her traumas. I think she gets intense pain, and it's a deep, searing, suffering pain. It's extremely troubling. The distress spikes. Then the anger kicks in, then the revenge and punishment motivation kicks in, and the anxiety kicks in terms of where are we? And so there's a two-pronged approach that she does that I've seen clinically very often, which is the words that she'll use is demanding that he demonstrate that he is for real, that he is into her, that he really loves her. And that's a big ask, especially while you're yelling at someone. But also, they barely know each other. I think this is their 4th or 5th day together. And so that's one prong. And then the other prong is revenge, is I will punish you for making me feel so terrible. So she's having, I think, the beginning of a meltdown.
And how I wanted to grow. If he's not into it, bye.
All right, well, if you didn't know already, we have a website, because of course we do, and someone is actually helping us to revamp the website, so look for those changes coming up. They're helping us to make it more user-friendly and maybe update it a little bit. The website has always been basically just me and my wife, and we're not web people, and really far from it, so it's kind of nice to get some other opinions about what to do. And I also have an audio podcast. You can subscribe on your phone to get more in-depth information on the things that I talk about. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.